I'm recording for content and streaming at the same time. It's it's almost like I'm doing like multiple things at once to increase productivity.
Oh my god, there's so many. Help, Greg.
Make more stalkers. Wait, what faction?
I'm Zerg.
You're Zerg?
I'm Zerg, dude. What are you talking about? Make more
roaches then.
Shut the f up. How about that, dude?
All right.
Make with the fucking.
Should have made more roaches. Obviously.
Oh, I don't have a roach warren. Oh my god, I'm ass.
Well, whose fault is that?
Oh damn.
So, dudes, if you're an Overwatch player, there are certain things in your browser history that you don't want to share. I am, of course, talking about your credit card information. You can stream and alt-tab safely with the sponsor of this video, Opera GX, the gaming browser for gamers. Opera GX comes with GX profiles, basically different configuration settings for the resources that the browser uses. You do this by clicking on the cogwheel for the settings function, then go to Manage GX Profiles. I'm gonna make a streamer profile. Let's make it red for recording. When I hit streaming, it'll mute tabs so that my audience doesn't hear them. I can also add a potato profile, so that way it just runs on the absolute bare bones settings. In the taskbar, you can see the different profiles that I've made. So when I want to stream, I can open Opera GX through this shortcut. And if I want to keep my resources down to a minimum, I can open it with this shortcut. One of my favorite features in the browser is the GX Player. It's a fully integrated music player that incorporates Apple Music, YouTube Music, and Spotify, and allows you to go back and forth between the music you're listening to, as well as whatever you're watching in a separate tab. So I got some music on in the player, as you can see here, and I can adjust the volume. I can do a number of different things. The layout is pretty similar to how it shows up in the YouTube Music API. Then if I find a tab with some useful information in a video of some kind, I can play the video.
Great, essentially.
And it'll pause the music.
I'm gonna go to filter, noise.
Then when I pause the video, the music comes back on. Opera GX also has customizable and animated wallpapers to kind of spruce up the visual experience a little bit. Okay, this isn't scripted. I literally how does this appear? Okay, this is the power of the technology. You can only get this in Opera GX. Walter, here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna go to the link in the description. You're gonna download Opera GX for free. You're gonna write hashtag chicanery and tell Gregor who your favorite Better Call Saul character is. And once again, we would like to extend gratitude to Opera GX, the sponsors of this video. Thanks again, guys. Some of the stuff that this replay system, I don't know the actual like engineering or the specifics of how they've managed to get this to work. I don't know if this is a feature that's new to Overwatch 2 or it's been around since Overwatch 1. You guys can tell me. But they literally just have a thing here where it compiles replays. Like Siege is a replay system. They added this relatively recently. But whatever this is, I don't know how it like calculates the points at which it gathers these it gathers a particular set of data in terms of like, oh hey, how many guys did you slam, you know, in like a quick succession for like, you know how it gets play of the game calculated. That's like the thing they've done with Call of Duty and Overwatch, as opposed to like final kill cam. It's been there since Overwatch 1. Okay, that's kind of impressive.
Yeah, that they've that's been a thing for a while. At least back when I played, it was a thing.
Has the highlight thing been here? So this is like, you can literally just like go through your, I think it's kind of a rudimentary feature for what it is. It's a little bit simple, but it's kind of neat. Like you can literally just go through, it'll like compile some of your big plays from the recent games, and then you can just click on it, and then you can instantly just like watch it with the
Yeah, that's been there since Overwatch 1, and last I played was in 2019, 2018, so you know.
So that's been there for a bit.
Thing for a while. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I like from a practical point of view, like looking at this, I feel it's kind of simple in its design, but from an engineering point of view, I think it's really, really cool. Like I think there's a lot that they can kind of do here. I don't know the actual like specifics of the software here and what they managed to do with replay files in terms of, because I don't know if it just replay files are weird because it's not like this used to happen all the time when I was a kid. So people would try to go into machinima making, right, as they called it for like Halo 3. And then you had what was a capture card with a bunch of component cables sticking out the back for input, and like HDMI wasn't even around at the time. And people would unironically like ask Halo 3 YouTubers, can I just download like Halo 3 replay files and then put them on my PC, and that way I can edit them in Adobe Premiere? And it's like, that's not how that works, because the replay file is just a set of information that tells the whatever view model thing the engine runs off of. It basically just tells that this is what you're going to display through the game engine itself. So I'm really curious as to how it actually like figures out, like, I don't know if it's just there's like a bunch of kills that just kind of happen in quick succession, and then the system looks at it and goes, okay, here's like a really good play because this all happened like very quickly next to each other, and then it just kind of picks that. But I would have been I would be interested to see like something like this for Siege. But the main reason that I'm talking about this is because I found a feature while I was trying to get content that I thought was really, really interesting. And it's something that I alluded to in my video breaking down Brutal Swarm. But the thing that was really strange was that this is a feature that was in Brutal Swarm's replay system, and then when the live build dropped, it wasn't. But it was in my capture build, right, when I was doing the content for the sponsored video. And that's a free camera. And it's a typical free camera. Like, this is exactly like I remember Halo 3 theater mode. Like, there's the, the match playing out, and then you have a cam that can, like, maneuver around the map as it plays out. Almost identical to Halo 3, right? Way, way back in the day. Which now, the more that I think about it, the less common this feature is in games nowadays. I gotta hand it to the guys at Bungie that were working on that shit back in, like, when did Halo 3 come out? Like 2007? Was it 2007? Yeah, so that was like a very, very long time ago in terms of, gamer years, right? And they had this kind of technology, like working on consoles, which was kind of wild. But this was, I'm assuming this has been in the game for a while. And then Siege, I don't know if this is coming to the live build or not, but I can go to the video to reference what I'm talking about here. So this is something that clearly a lot of people saw this and they were like, yo, what the heck? It's a free cam. Now, something that I didn't say. Almost like Ubisoft can read my mind, because I've suggested. I'll let the clip play. On stream. So something that this was what we called in the movie business a movie trick. This audio is not raw from the replay file. So in other words, when I recorded this in the replay system, Mira's gun shooting is not from the replay recording. I went into a custom game, and then I shot at a wall, and then I dubbed that in because the sounds are really buggy, and I'm assuming that's why they haven't rolled the feature out in its working condition. And I feel like I'm allowed to talk about this. I don't think Ubi's gonna like get pissed off if I mention any of this, because like it was a sponsored video for Ubisoft, so I know Ubisoft staff like watched this part. And they looked at it and they approved it, and they were like, yeah, put it in. So, well, obviously they didn't talk about it specifically, but, this is all like out there on the table. So I feel like I should be allowed to talk about it. But yeah, this is sponsored by Ubisoft, and they definitely saw this part and then approved it. So I don't think they have an issue with this being out in the general like public in terms of their marketing for this particular feature. But what was really, really strange is that they didn't say anything about it in the patch notes for Brutal Swarm, and they haven't said anything about it like at all, really, right? They haven't even alluded to the idea that this is gonna come to the game at some point. Even though I did this in the capture build for Brutal Swarm, and then the patch rolled out, and then it's not there, and there's no indication of whether it's even gonna come back. So I'm really, really curious about this particular feature, just because obviously it makes doing like cinematic stuff so interesting. For one, it allows me to kind of like illustrate certain kinds of concepts about a game like Siege that's so map dependent, and so there's so many different moving parts in terms of like your like visual headspace that you have to kind of keep in mind of, okay, I need to be mindful of this staircase, and there's also like, you know, a verti angle that somebody can make here, and this is why this line of sight works really well, because it gives me a head glitch kind of looking angle, and then I can like cover trophy door, right? There's so many different things that you can do with this from a teaching perspective, but also it's just kind of cool. So this is something that they have definitely at least indirectly implied is going to be a thing. And then I go back to Overwatch, and then I'm like, this is here. Like, this has been in the game for like freaking forever. And I know that it doesn't seem like a lot in the grand scheme of things, but I really don't know what, like, it's strange to me. It's very odd. It's very odd to me from a marketing point of view to basically like have this kind of functionality that your competition has demonstrated the capability of doing for a while, and then you don't even like talk about it. Like, I think most people, like, look at the audience retention for this, right? Like, I'll go back to display cap. Like, people clearly saw this, as you can tell. Like, most people were looking at who got what attachment. I get it, like, who got what scope. But, like, they went here, and they saw, like, yo, what the fuck? Is this a free cam? And they were, like, you know, going back and confirming it for themselves. And then I had people come to me afterward, and they were like, yo, is that free cam, like, in the game? And then I go into the current build, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think they added it. I think they kind of hotfixed it out because it wasn't ready yet. So maybe it's coming in the next patch, or maybe it's coming in I don't know. I don't know what's going on, because Ubisoft hasn't really talked about it. But it just seems kind of strange to just not say anything. I feel like you would generate a pretty decent amount of hype off of this. I don't. That's how I feel. But yeah, just a little tangent. You know, just playing around with like the Overwatch replay system, and this is super robust. Like, I'm honestly kind of blown away by the functionality here. Not just in terms of the what you can actually do with the camera functions, but also like it runs silky fucking smooth. There hasn't been a lot of like audio graphical problems that I run into a lot with like the replay system as it exists for Siege compared to this. So honestly, it really just kind of tells me, like, I don't know, like, people can say what they want about Overwatch as a game, but I think the engineering infrastructure that they have here is really solid. And I think that that's kind of been a testament to how the game has been able to survive that storm that it had, where it basically had like a fucking, like 3-year content drought, a year-long content drought. Because some people tell me it was 3 years, some people tell me it was a year. I personally think it's kind of amazing. It's kind of remarkable to me, like, how much crap the game was putting up with, not just in terms of a production timeline point of view, but also the PR bullshit going on with Blizzard and Activision, and people getting fired or going to jail, right? You know, as Donkey put it.
Like April 15th, 2020.
2020. So it was even longer than that.
Yeah.
That's April 2020. So so Kokona happened. And then, so God, this dev team, Christ. Like, they had to put up with, okay, I found my graphical bug. I found one graphical bug. I think Ash put in a lot of hair gel there. So there's your bug. Crikey. So, yeah, so you got Kokona virus, and then the Activision Blizzard, like, all the hullabaloo. I'll just call it the hullabaloo, right? And then renaming Cowboy Dave to a different name, and still managing to have, like, aside from like the server bullshit, a pretty solid game here that seems to work relatively well. I mean, just in terms of the engineering and the software that they have here, I haven't run into a lot of particular issues. I don't have any issues with the client. I don't have any issues with, like, inviting people to play the game. People join my game, and then I queue up, and then, there's no, like, oh, I didn't get the invite. Hey, can you send me another invite? None of that. None of that. And they've rolled out a pretty substantial update to a game that admittedly wasn't getting a lot of content for a lot of time, and you can say, oh, well, it's not really a dedicated sequel. It was just that way for marketing purposes, yada, yada, yada. But I would think they've done a pretty solid job here with the circumstances that the team was given. And like the thing is, I'm not confident that Siege can do that right now. I like can you imagine if Siege just didn't get content for like a year and a half? Like no updates.
I kill myself.
I was about to say you can't say that on Twitch, but we're not on Twitch.
I would not. It's a joke. I play that game.
Yeah, YouTube fully endorses what Pat just said.
Fusion Logiski came to my house last night and told me I could say that.
I just like if Siege had let's just put this into perspective, right? With like the situation that Overwatch 2 is in, and everyone's like, it's just a big update. They didn't make content for a year and a half. Right? Siege gets no new operators, no new maps, no new nothing. And then people are like, well, it hasn't had a new map in 3 years. I understand that. They've been doing things, maybe not a lot of things, but they have done things. Overwatch had no things. None. Zero. Overwatch had no things done and rolled out a sequel, quote unquote sequel, if you want to call it a freaking sequel. And then it drops and it's kicking everybody's ass on Twitch and YouTube live streaming on day 1, day 2, day 3. And it's not like it's confidently kicking everyone's ass. Can Siege do the same thing? I don't know if it can. And I'm not saying that Overwatch needs to be directly compared to Siege. I just think that people need to kind of put in perspective like the infrastructure and the support that Siege is getting. I personally don't think it would survive that. I don't think Siege would survive a year without any content at all. I think it would pull a Halo Infinite and just like I think it would just implode big time, big time. And that's not good. That's not a good situation to be in, right? So, yeah. Excuse me, we had a deathmatch map. I love that. Does anybody like the deathmatch map? Type 1 if you like the deathmatch map, close quarters. Type 2 if you don't like the deathmatch map.
Y'all on a deathmatch map?
The one that came in Vector Glare, close quarters. Type 1 if you liked it, 2 if you didn't.
I'm not gonna lie, I forgot that Siege had a deathmatch mode.
Okay, so 1.
Yeah, what's the fun in that?
It's
2.
easier to make votes.
1, 2.
Yes, but is it fun?
How do you drive engagement?
Exactly. Do you want their responses to just be a statistic?
Yes.
Me too.
The fuck do I care about?
See, I didn't.
Thought about it like that.
Maybe I'm a boomer. Maybe I'm in a bit of
boomer?
an echo chamber because I personally didn't really like it that much. I think the staircases, like everyone just like camps on the staircases and just like vibes on the staircases. It's kind of cringe.
Yeah, close quarters sucks, and it should be locked away.
Yeah, I don't like it.
You should be locked away.
I don't like
I
it.
should be, Bert.
Why does
You
the
know what?
deathmatch map in Rainbow
I should be
Six Siege
locked
have a
away.
campable stairs?
I
like,
should never be allowed to see the sun ever again.
I think that like deathmatch maps in the context of like, let's say you want to like really train, quote unquote, like sweat train for a particular like competitive map. I think there's arguments to be made for like, okay, if you're on Villa and somebody has a staircase, like, yeah, that's a defensive advantage that a player has. And part of like learning gunfighting in Siege is like learning how to like deal with that advantage and like out aim your opponent. But like you'll never learn anything about how to play a map better off a close quarter. Like maybe just like the very, very basics, maybe like the very basic tenets of Siege gunfighting you'll get if you have no experience. But close quarters isn't gonna help with that, right? Like it's not gonna like instinctually kind of train you like, okay, I need to like keep my crosshair at this kind of level for like this part of the peak, because you're never going to play close quarters in any kind of environment except close quarters, like, and they have the stupid like glass panels and shit. Like I personally think they should just like, I think the CSGO model of like active duty and like non-active duty maps, I think that's perfect. I think that's like a golden standard for a game like Siege in terms of learning maps, because I think it gives people like, the ability to focus on things that help them out. But yeah, I don't know. This replay system is dope though. I mean, this is really, really cool. I like this a lot. I mean, this brings me back. This brings me back to Halo 3 machinima making. With my capture card when I was like 14. But yeah, engineering wise, I think a lot of what has kept Overwatch 2 relevant here is the fact that this part of the game has been completely like nailed. I think they really put a lot of stock and investment into that. So, yeah. I quit Siege because it's becoming a crappy Valorant clone. I think you need to put the crack pipe away, my friend.
crappy.
There are
yeah.
a lot of valid reasons to quit Siege. I don't know
Valorant phone, probably not. Maybe not yet.
One operator ability isn't like Valorant doesn't get a copyright on a wall. I think yeah.